Well, we all deal with situations in life to where we can be impacted negatively. And in some cases, the impact can be so great that it feels like it can prevent you from being able to move forward in life. It feels like life is at a complete standstill and that you are mentally and emotionally unable to move beyond the impact. You see, understanding how you were impacted is very important. But what is just as important is understanding how you're going to bounce back from being impacted. You see, there's two ways we can be impacted. You can be impacted to where the damages were done. You're able to assess the damages and then devise a plan to where you pick up the pieces and able to move forward with your life. Or there's being impacted to where there's unresolved, untreated damages. And as a result, you're not just impacted, but impacted and yet infected. When I say infected, I mean because of the untreated damages, there are now symptoms that are occurring in your life that's keeping you from being able to pursue your dreams and your goals. Fear is a symptom due to untreated damages. You're now afraid to try anything in life because of what happened in the past. Whether it bitterness, anger, resentment, depression, all of these are symptoms of some sort of impact that took place to where there was untreated damages. Today I want to talk to you about the difference between being impacted and infected. Because what my goal is for you out of this timeout is to be able to identify 3 ways that there's symptoms in your life as a result of you being impacted so that you can erase those symptoms, pick up your life, move forward, chase your dreams and goals. And though we cannot stop ourselves from being impacted from things around us, we can stop ourselves from being infected by it. Hey everybody, my name is Joshua Fakir and I want to welcome you to Time Out. Again, today I want to talk to you about the difference of being impacted and infected and knowing the difference between the two. And I'll start by telling you a story of my own. You see, a couple of Christmases ago, my dad called me on the phone and told me that he purchased a couple of bicycles for his grandchildren and that he wanted me to come over to the house to look at the bicycles with him so he can brag about the deal. You see, my dad loves to spoil his grandchildren, but what he also loves to do as well is brag on the deal that he was having, because in his mind, he's a master negotiator. He's retired and he spends a lot of his time at the flea market. And for those of you who are familiar with South Florida, you know which one I'm talking about. Where's the bargain? At the swap shop. So he goes to the swap shop and he's known for the deals that for first of all his sense of humor. He brings joy and laughter everywhere he goes, but he also comes to play a mean bargain. And so he called me to tell me, hey, I bought some bicycles for the grandchildren. You'll never believe the deal I got. And so he wants to talk about it. I said, okay, we call my dad Poppy. Poppy, I'm gonna try to come. It may not be this weekend or next weekend because there's a lot going on right now, but I'll for sure come within the next 2 weeks, and then we can work something out to where you can bring the bicycles over. I hope you can surprise the kids. And so this was in the period of our life where the kids were wrapping up their final semester before the Christmas break. We also had a newborn at home, so there was a lot going on. But when the weekend finally came, I called them. I said, okay, Christmas is still a couple of days out. If you still want to surprise the kids, I'm free this Saturday. I'll come to help you. You see, Saturdays are normally my days in the morning where I'm able to kind of get away from everything and take a jog around the neighborhood. Now, on a side note, I just want to encourage you all. Don't hesitate to take a time out to pour back into you. You spend your whole life trying to pour into others and meet the needs of those around you, your loved ones, and you get pulled in many different directions. But what happens is that if you don't take time to pour back into yourself, you can become depleted to where not only you can't help anyone else, you can't even help yourself. So take time outs, whether you're spending your time outs with me, where I can pour into you strength and motivation and encouragement, whether you take time to pray, go to church, or take walks, or spend time with friends, families, or read, whatever it is, make sure you're taking time out to pour back into you so that you can continue to be who you are for yourself and for those around you. So back to the story. I normally take jogs on Saturday mornings where I can just free my mind and release my thoughts and come up with plans on how I'm going to move forward in life. And so I told my dad, you know what, instead of jogging around my neighborhood, he lived a couple of miles from me, I'm going to jog to your place. Then I don't have to worry about no one driving my car back we can look at the bikes, assess them, do whatever we need to do, load them up in your van, and let's come and surprise the kids. He said, okay, that sounds good. So I get to his place that Saturday. I jog there. He's there. He's waiting for me. He's anxious. He has this can of WD-40. Listen, my whole life, I don't think my dad has never had a can of WD-40. And for some reason, he always had the extra long red straw. I almost don't feel like it's the standard straw that comes with the can. I feel like he had a custom straw with his can of WD-40. It doesn't matter what it is he's trying to fix and how deep it is, he can reach it. So he had his can of WD-40. He's downstairs. He's waiting for me. And he said, okay, the bikes are over here. He lives in a retirement community in a condo. They have a bike rack. So I said, okay, let's go and take a look at it. And so we're there and we're having a really good time. He's telling me about the deal that he had made, how he was able to get the bikes. And I'll be honest with y'all, it was really nice bicycles. I'm still shocked myself at how much he got in the bikes for. So as I said, he's a master negotiator. So he's there and he's so proud of that and so excited about seeing the kid's face. He's like, listen, go ahead, try the bike, try it. And I'm like, what, you want me to ride these kids' bike in this neighborhood? I'm gonna look crazy. He said, just try it, man. So I'm on there, I'm on the little bikes riding it back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, this is a nice bike, Dad, Poppy. And so we're spraying it with the WD-40, making sure it's in good shape. We load it up. He takes the next one, and we're doing the same thing, and we're talking. And I notice in the corner of my eyes that there's someone there, and there's a couple of people on the third level, and they're looking down. Now, in this retirement community, there's not much that goes on, so anything that does happen, you see people looking out their window or standing out on the balcony. And this is probably the most action they got all week. And so there's a couple of guys standing there, and so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they're just watching us. And so my dad's still sitting in his van. I'm spraying, I'm doing whatever he tells me to do. We load the van. Then shortly I noticed that one of the guys has come down the stairs and he's walking in our direction. He's walking pretty fast. And so I see it in the corner of my eye, but I say, you know what? There's a car parked a few spaces down this way. Maybe he's going to his car. I don't know. But as he's getting closer and moving still at a fast pace, I decided, let me just break the silence. And so I said, oh, hi, sir. Are we in your way? Knowing that we're not. But I pointed at his car. Are we in your way? And he said to me, no, I'm just trying to see what you're trying to do to my car. I'm like, excuse me? And he said, I'm trying to see what you're trying to do to my car. And so at this point now, I'm still trying to think, is this a joke? This man is looking now. I mean, he's there. He's assessing his car. He's looking at it. And okay, it's one thing when someone accuses you of something that you would never do. It's beyond your character. If they knew who you are, that thought wouldn't have even crossed their mind. But I think what added insult to injury for me, Gal, was the fact that when I looked at the car he was assessing, it wasn't even a nice car. It was an old car that used to be black. But because you all know what I'm talking about, it's not black anymore because of the exposure to the sun and everything that has happened. I mean, if he was to ever sell that car where he had to list it, he would probably have to put in the color section 50 shades of gray. I mean, the hood was one color, the top of the car was one color, the door was one color. I mean, it wasn't a nice car at all for me to even be tempted if that was something I was into. But I'm staring at him and I'm almost shocked. I'm angry at the same time, and a little bit, a part of me want to laugh too, like, I can't believe this is really happening. So when he finally turns around, he's eye to eye with me, and I still haven't said a word yet after, excuse me, because I'm like trying to assess what is going on right now. Then he looks past me and he sees my dad sitting in the van. Now again, my dad is a popular guy because of his sense of humor. He makes friends with everybody. So he saw my dad and he says this, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't even see you there. I'm sorry. I apologize. And then he turns and walk away. He didn't say not one word to me, not even an apology or what. And I'm standing there. And now I'm like assessing this in my mind. I feel my heart rate racing. But then I look over to my dad. My dad is a man. He's in his 70s. He's retired. He's from the islands. And you don't ever have to guess what's on his mind. It's all over his face. So I glanced and looked at him. He's like, he's staring at the guy and he's staring at me. And I'm realizing he's waiting to see how I'm going to respond to it, which will determine how he's going to respond. I said, okay, well, my dad has to live here. And I don't want to do anything to create a drama here. So I said, I'm going to try to be the bigger person. And I said, you know what, Poppy? Don't even worry about it. Let's finish doing what we're doing. Let's go bring the bikes to the kids. He gets out the van, and so now he goes to go have a conversation. The guy disappears, but the other guys are standing there. And they're there, and they see my dad approaching, and they're like, listen, we had nothing to do with that. It's almost like they wanted to detach themselves to it. My dad ends up having conversations with one of them. They found out that they were born 2 months apart in the same neighborhood in New York. So the atmosphere shifted. And I was happy to see that because I didn't want there to be trouble after I left. So long story short, we bring the bikes to the kids. And this is where I really want y'all to pay attention to. We bring the bikes to the kids, and my dad surprises them. They're excited. Thank you, Papa. They're riding the bikes up and down on the sidewalk. They're still in their PJs. It's a Saturday morning, and they're riding, and I can see they're so excited because they're riding. They're like, look, Daddy, look at the trick I can do. And they call themselves doing wheelies, even though they're getting the wheel this much off the ground. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. That's cool. And I'm standing there, and after some time, my dad was like, okay, I got to go run some errands, but thank you for coming and helping. So he drives off. I don't want to cut their bike ride too short. So I'm standing there, and they're excited, and they're talking to me, and I can see their mouths moving every time they pass by, but I can't hear them. I get a glimpse of myself in the mirror because I'm standing next to the car, and I have a slight smile on my face, but I'm realizing something. Physically, I'm there, but mentally, I'm absent. Where am I? I am back at the scene, trying to replay and assess what just happened. And I'm not having positive thoughts either. I'm thinking about all the things that I should have said, all the things I wanted to say. Sometimes the best comebacks are always hours later or a day later. You can't even think of it at the time because you're so heated or so emotional. The comebacks come so late, and you look crazy going back later on talking about, by the way, your mama. But so I'm there, and I'm thinking about all the things that I should have said. All the things that I should have said. And I realized I was not just impacted by the situation, but in those short moments, I've now become infected by it. Because now whatever anger this man was carrying, it spread to me. I'm carrying that anger. I'm bitter right now. I'm resentful right now. I'm thinking I'm hurt. I'm mad. I'm all these different things. And I can't even enjoy my children as they're excited about their bicycles. And so I had to really pray. And it took me some time to be like, man, I can't believe. And it took me some time to have to move forward in life, because you know what? As long as I'm stuck in the past, my future is always going to look the same as my past, because I'm absent from the present. And it's in the present that you can change your future. You see, you miss out on opportunities in the present when you're not focused, when you're looking behind you. And so because of that, your future would always look like your past. And so I'm going to share with you 3 ways you can identify if a situation has gone beyond you being impacted to being infected, because my goal here today is for you to be able to undo all the or treat the untreated damages in your life, so that you can move beyond the impact and go and pursue whatever it is that you're going after, regardless of the symptoms in your life. So the first thing I wanted you to understand is that in your mind, your thoughts will let you know if it's moved beyond you being impacted. You see, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. My thoughts the following days were negative thoughts. I'm still upset. I'm thinking about, I need to go find where this guy lives. If he's a friend from one of those other guys, I need to talk to him. I need to clear this up. And so my mind is just fixated on what was happening in my life. Now for you can see, have you experienced a situation to where you can only think about it, but as you're thinking about it, there are thoughts that are unproductive. Thoughts that will never get you to move forward in life. There's thoughts that you're that's going through your mind that's not gonna that gets your heart rate going. You can have a whole argument with somebody that you don't see, and your body will respond physically. You will sweat. You start shaking. Your heart rate is going, and that's unhealthy, y'all. We have to clear our thoughts and think on things that can help us to get beyond whatever the situation is. Analyze your thoughts. That'll tell you if you've able to move beyond being impacted and not also be infected. Secondly, it's your words. Your words. Out of the abundance of the heart, your mouth speaks. You see, the infection is here, but but out of the words that are coming out, you're now talking different. You don't sound like the same person. Everything you say is angry, or everything you say is this or that, and it's unfruitful speaking. And you realize, man, something is really going on with me, and I'm not over it. And these words will always look at the things you're saying. Look at you saying, not just your speaking, but number 3, your actions. You see, you can judge a fruit by its tree. You can judge a tree by its fruit. The fruit will tell you what's going on in the tree. In certain cases, when the tree is producing rotten fruit, you can't treat the tree at the fruit level. You got to get to the root level. And the root is the heart. You see, everything we say and everything we do is a manifestation of what's going on the inside. We ought to treat our thoughts, our words, and our actions like lights on a dashboard in a car. You see, when your words are not true to who you are, your thoughts and your actions, you got to treat that like there's the engine light. The engine light is on because there's something going on in your engine. You see, these things happen in our lives to where we are now unable to move forward because we are not just impacted but infected. Look at your life. Are you afraid to do anything because of what happened in your life? Are you angry with the world? Is there are you panicking because of situations that immediately if something don't go right, you start having panic attacks? All these are a result of something that has happened that was left untreated. I want you to take time to look at your life today, because if these are not treated, you will never be able to move beyond the impact. You see, we can never prevent ourselves from being impacted, but we can prevent ourselves from going further to us being infected. Treat whatever it is in your life that's keeping you from being able to move forward. Talk to somebody, call somebody, say, listen, I'm dealing with this. My thoughts are wrapped around this thing that happened to me. I thought I was over it, but I'm realizing the more I analyze my thoughts and my speech, every time I look at my actions, how I respond to people, I'm not over it and I need help. And you talk to people and people you can trust that can help you to get beyond it. Because I don't want you just to be infected. I want you to be able to be impacted and not infected, so that you can always pick up the pieces and move forward in your life. So in this time out, I want you to take time to analyze and look at your life. I'm not judging you, because it took me a while to get over it. It took me a while to get over it. I always wonder what would happen when I go visit my dad if I ever see this gentleman again. But then after a while, it's like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. And I actually prayed for him. That's how I knew if I was over it or not. I prayed for him, because who knows what's going on in his life. This man was infected, and who knows for how many years. Who knows at what point in his life he stopped growing. He's there because he retired. So numerically, age-wise, he's grown. But whatever happened in his life, he's never moved past it. So he has how many idle years of being infected. And you see, the infection can spread if you're not careful. How many people has he infected with his anger or with his way of looking at things? So I prayed for him. I said, whatever's going on in his life, I hope he recoups the years he's lost. But I'm not going to lose a day, especially a moment in my child's life, because of what someone else had to say or think. And so today in this timeout, there's 3 different opinions. There's what God says about you, there's what people say about you, and there's what you say about you. And guess what? You are the deciding vote. Whether you swing this way or that way, it's always going to be right. You see, they say, if you say you can or you can't, either way, you're right. So I'm going to say, go with what God says about you. He says that you are the head and not the tail. He says that you are more than a conqueror. Don't worry about what people say or think. Do you, and don't let nobody infect you. If anything, you infect people with love, you infect people with positivity, and you move on with your life, because your character will speak for you. So, again, I want to thank you for joining me in this timeout, and you have a blessed day.